have a chapter chat. I'm your host, Jessica Foster, and we have best-selling author Ashley Poston here with us today. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great. How are you?
I am perfect as perfect can be, except for this heat wave that's going on in South Carolina. That's not too great.
Oh, I know, but it's great weather to be inside and just read a book.
Oh, 100%. You have your iced tea, a nice fan blowing on you. Perfect.
You have just been on a whirlwind book tour for Sounds Like Love. Let's talk a little bit about that book tour and your newest novel.
Yeah, the book tour has been fantastic, honestly. I am on the other side of it, and it was just a whirlwind of amazing readers and fantastic food, honestly.
That's the best part, right? Fantastic food.
Oh, yeah. It's every single stop I've tried to go and eat something that I've never eaten before in those cities and try something new. And it's been quite lovely. It's like my little treat to myself.
I love that. And your books are a treat because I am a big fan, Ashley. I tell everyone about your books because there's a little bit of romance and then there's always magical realism in your books.
I love combining sort of the magic of kind of like a what if with contemporary, because I get bored when I just write contemporary without any kind of magical foil to it. So it's as much for me as it is for any of my readers.
Let's talk about Sounds Like Love. And if people aren't familiar with the book, let's just give them a brief synopsis.
Absolutely. Okay, so Sounds Like Love is about a burnt-out songwriter and a has-been musician who find themselves inexplicably telepathically linked when they can't get a song out of their heads.
And I'm having so much fun reading it because if you've read any of the other novels like The 7-Year Slip, you might see a little bit of a crossover.
I don't know. Maybe it's in chapter 12. I mean, that's not a spoiler. It's just, it's just put it in neons. Chapter 12 is the cheeseburger in paradise chapter title. Obviously, I had to do some fan service.
Let's talk a little bit about, I feel like you've had a whirlwind couple of years. So let's talk about your career and how this boom happened.
It was as much of a surprise to me as it was to anyone who read my young adult books before that. I have readers that come up to me now who love the Dead Romantics or the 7-Year Slip or Not a Love Story or found me through Sounds Like Love, and they're like, I read your Kikarella book back when I was in high school. And I was like, oh, one, thank you. But two, don't tell me that. I feel really old. But they were like, I didn't know you were the same Ashley Poston. And I was like, yep, that's me. So it's been lovely to see those two different worlds kind of collide a little bit, because it was basically me growing with my readership. And that is in and of itself lovely and magical.
So you started out in young adult fiction. How did you transition over? Because The Dead Romantics, that was your first book that was more of that contemporary, right?
It was my first adult novel. So I wrote young adult from 2012 to 2020, and then infamously in 2020, 2020 happened, and so it was a really bad year it was a really good year and a really bad year for books. It was a good year for a lot of backlist, a lot of reader favorites, but it was a really bad year for newer books that were coming out. And I had 2 books out that year, and they were fine. They came out to moderate success. After that, I couldn't sell another book, mostly because publishing had to kind of reinvent itself a little bit during COVID. And partially because what I was writing in young adult, no one really wanted to read or buy at the moment. So I had to figure out what else to do. I talked with my agent and I was like, I'm scared. I'm scared I'm not going to have this career that I've been working for forever. I'm watching it fall apart as I speak, because at this point I'm 8 books into my career and I can't sell another one. My agent, Holly Root, she was like, write something weird, write what you want to read. And so I was like, okay, what if that is a paranormal romance? And infamously, paranormal romances weren't selling at all. But she was like, you know what? I love a good challenge. So I wrote The Dead Romantic. And when I first signed with my agent, Holly, I wanted to do romance, thrillers. I just wanted to put my eggs in all the baskets because I like writing in different genres, different types of commercial fiction. And I like testing myself and my skills. And so I always knew I wanted to branch out of young adult into a different genre and different age group. And it was just the right time. It was the right story and the right time. We went out on submission. So we sent the manuscript of The Dead Romantics to editors in publishing. And within a month, it was bought by Amanda Bergeron at Berkeley, and I've been with her ever since. And it's been wild and really, really wonderful.
Well, let me tell you, The Dead Romantics, I enjoyed it so much that after I finished it, I had a hard time finding another book that I loved so much.
Oh my gosh, the highest compliment. Thank you.
You're welcome. It was fun and it was different. And I've read every one of your new novels that's come out because of that.
Oh, thank you so much. That means quite a lot to me, because I wrote The Dead Romantics because I wanted to like shake myself out of the burnout that I was feeling and like the rejection I was feeling. So I just put all of like my feelings and like my feelings for my career and also like my love for paranormal romance and just romance in general, because I love that like dichotomy of I love you, but I can't touch you. And a ghost story is the best way to write that. Because like they're a ghost, you can't actually touch them. But if you love them, you kind of want that physicality sometimes. And you can't have that with, a spirit. So anyway, I was so excited, and it was just so surreal to watch people fall in love with The Dead Romantics and this like weird little ghost story that I'd been wanting to write for years and years, but never gave myself permission to. And now I'm just giving myself permission to write all of the weird stuff that I want to.
And is that ever difficult? Do you ever feel burnout? Like, oh my goodness, I don't even know where to go next? Because I know that The Dead Romantics kind of got you out of that before, but now that you're in this new age category that you're writing for, have you felt any burnout since then?
Oh, yeah, kind of famously. I've been talking about it a lot on my tour. I was very burnt out during Sounds Like Love. I had written it I had written 4 drafts of it, and just something wasn't clicking, and I didn't know what it was. And at this point, I've been writing writing professionally for almost 15 years now. And so like, I know how story works. I knew how characters work, and I knew what I wanted to say and what I wanted to do in this book, but I just kept on hitting a wall over and over and over again. And I started to feel like I did not know how to write anymore. Because I got in my head that this had to be like the next best thing. This had to be better than the book that everyone loves, which is mostly The 7-Year Slip. I put so much pressure on myself that I wasn't enjoying the book that I was writing. And so I joked with my editor, and I was like, Amanda, I'm going to go off into the woods for 2 weeks. And if I start growing mushrooms, I'm going to become a mushroom farmer, and I will quit writing, and you will never see me again. Mushrooms don't need help growing, so I was setting myself up for easy out there. And so for like 2 weeks, I went to my roots, which was fan fiction. I started writing fanfic when I was 11, and that's just the writing sphere and the community that I kind of grew up and like sharpened my writing teeth on. So I went back to that for 2 weeks, and I wrote like 50,000 words in this fanfic. And I remember thinking at the end, oh, I do know how to write. I do know how characters work, how story works. The problem was that I was just like not letting myself have fun and enjoy this process and do weird things that maybe I end up can't doing in the manuscript because it doesn't work out or it's too out there and I can't ground it. But like I wasn't giving myself the ability to and the permission to try. And that was what kept on blocking me over and over and over again. So I went back to Sounds Like Love after that, and I told my editor, I said, look, it might be this draft might be a little weird, but I promise you it's going to be fun. And she said, Godspeed, go have fun. And that's basically when I kind of leaned into the telepathy of Sounds Like Love. That's when I like leaned into the how the two main characters, Joni and Sasha, they have walls up. They both are grappling with like their own kind of creative burnout. All of that came like coalesced in the fifth draft because I was just pouring everything that I didn't give myself permission to in the first four because I was really hesitant that readers wouldn't like it or wouldn't land properly. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm going to try. And I did. And golly gee, it kind of worked.
I would say so. It really has worked. And it's fun. It's different. And I have to ask you, do you have a background in music? Because you seem to know that world.
So I don't have a background in the industry. I was in marching band in high school. I played the clarinet. I took 10 years of piano. I dated a musician, neither here nor there. But I did, so because I did not know anything about the industry itself, I did do research. I do research for all of my novels. So for Sounds Like Love, I wanted to figure out like how people operate in the music industry because that is kind of like foreign territory to me. And so I had a friend who hooked me up with an interview with one of my favorite bands of all time, Motion City Soundtrack. And I got to chat with the lead singer, Justin Courtney Pierre. And it was a fantastic interview. Sometimes, yeah, you do want to meet your heroes because sometimes they're just really chill dudes who will be like, hey, you want to know about this thing? I got connections that I can connect you with someone else who knows more about this thing than I do. And honestly, that's the kind of creative that I want to be when I grow up, is someone who can like be like, I can be a bridge for you. I might not be the person who knows the answer to this one question, but I know someone who might. And that was just a really, really lovely experience. And so I chatted with him about creativity and like the genesis of songs and how different it is from writing books and how similar it is to writing books. And then he connected me with Cassidy Pope, who was the lead singer of Hey Monday and is now a Broadway actress. And I'm very excited for her new career. She's going to be fantastic in it. And she like also chatted with me about the industry. And so I like to do my due diligence when I don't actually know the industry myself, or like if I just know stuff from blog posts or from articles. I want to get like a human story. So I always try to like reach out and search for informational interviews that I can have with people because one, I'm really nosy and I just like to learn about that stuff. But also I want to because my books have magic in them, I have to ground them in other ways. And so the best way I've learned how to ground them is to be incredibly familiar with the characters and their jobs and the industry that they live in, and also like the town that they live in, the like emotional state they live in. And so I tried to make those as grounded as possible so that when the magical element does come in, you aren't thrown for a loop there. You can believe it. You might can believe that the person sitting right beside you does have a telepathic connection with a has-been boy band member, you know?
I love that research aspect. As a journalist, research is huge for us. I could also relate, Ashley, when you were talking about burnout, because I remember one time in my career, and I remember almost like hitting a block with doing an in-depth story. And I was like, it's almost like you sometimes forget how to do something that you've done your whole life. It's a weird feeling. And what got me
out of it. So weird.
It is, yeah. What got me out of that is tragically we had a very bad wildfire in our area. And we were reporting on these people that were removed from their homes and they didn't have anything left. And I met this family and I could just connect with them and their feelings. And they invited me to ride with them as they went back to see their home for the first time.
Oh, wow.
Inside their home after it had burned. And I remember saying, are you sure? And they're like, we want you there with us.
Wow.
That story got me out of my slump because I was able to tell that emotional story and that connection. And as tragic as it was, they were grateful to have their story out there.
Yeah, it's so interesting sometimes that so I do teach craft sometimes, and I talk a lot about creative burnout. And the hardest thing to do when you are in creative burnout is to let other people in, or to like go to other people and like climb over their walls. It's so hard to talk about it because you feel like a failure when you talk about it. And because like you shouldn't have this burnout. You are a professional. You should not like have this feeling, you know. And then when someone else like lets you into their lives, or to their creative process, or to, you know, just like them existing in the world, it kind of refills your well a little bit, because and the walls come down, because you are a denizen of this world, right? And so as someone a part of the world, you should like let that world in instead of putting up the walls. And that's just really hard to do, because you have to be vulnerable, and the person that you're asking this gargantuan like ask from also has to be vulnerable too.
Right. And vulnerability, it's magical in itself, isn't it?
Oh, it is. And it's so terrifying all the time. It's so terrifying.
It really is. It really is. And when you're coming up with the idea of another book, do you always have something brewing in your mind? Or sometimes you're like, I really just don't even know what to write next?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. So whenever me and my editor, whenever we sit down and start to brainstorm the next book, because most of the time books aren't like written alone in like, you know, your room with like blinders on. Books are a community project most of the time. Like, even if it's not just you, it's you and like your beta readers, or it's you and your friends who you like share your work with first, or it's you and your editor who you sit down with and you're like, man, I don't know what I want to do next. And she's like, well, what do you want to write? And I'm like, I don't know, Amanda, that's the problem. And so it's like you're just throwing spaghetti at a wall and seeing what sticks. And sometimes the thing that you want to stick at the moment doesn't, which is what happened like this year with my book out next year. Something that I really wanted to do, I couldn't figure out how to make it work within the context of the story that I wanted to write. So we had to pivot a little bit. And so now I know exactly what I want to write next year, and I'm writing it, and it's amazing. But it took a long time to get there. And sometimes that just happens. You start with one idea, but then it sort of like morphs and transforms into something else as you figure out who the characters are, and who, and like what the place is, and what the story is. For me, so I call the magical element of my books like the gimmick, and not in a bad sort of gimmick way, but in like a fun gimmick way. Because that's like that's my treat dangling at the end of a fishing rod, right? Like that I keep on trying to like snap at. And so I always try to make my gimmick like a foil for the characters and the themes of the novel. Like The Dead Romantics was about a woman who had to learn how to let go, and what better way to explore that than falling in love with a ghost who literally can't leave. And for like 7 Years Slipped, it was about a woman grappling with like who she thought she wanted to be, and who she actually is now, and what better way to explore that than falling in love with someone 7 years in the past who is completely different in the present. And then for Novel Love Story was the easy one. It was a woman who feels like a secondary character in her own life, and so what better way to explore that than actually putting her into the town of her favorite romance novel as a secondary character. So for Sounds Like Love, it was about how two people with walls up and like different kinds of creative burnout, how they learn to interact and like welcome the world in again. And what better way to do that than to have someone in your head that you literally can't get out of your head, someone who is in like the deepest recesses of your most private thoughts sometimes, and you can't hide them. So I always try to have like the gimmick and like the magic be a foil for their character arcs. And yeah, so it's a lot of trial and error.
And what's funny is because when you talk about can't get someone out of your head, that is almost like a new love. You know, when you first meet that person, and it's like all you can think about.
Oh, absolutely. And so in the last draft of Sounds Like Love, the one that ended up being like the book, my editor and I, we were like, we had to figure out how to put guardrails on the telepathy, because like just having a stranger in your head all the time is like incredibly intrusive and not very sexy at all. So we were like, okay, we need rules for this. We need guardrails. And so we decided that they are only in each other's head whenever they think about each other. So it's like a quiet knock on the door, basically. And sometimes they don't know they're thinking about each other, but then like you go further in the scene and you realize that they have been. So they only ever hear each other when they're thinking about each other or tangentially like to each other. So that was like the easy guardrails for me. And I was like, oh yeah. And I was exactly like, oh, like when you're crushing on someone, you can't get them out of your head. So obviously they're going to be in each other's head a lot.
Can you give us a little preview of what you're working on for next year, or is that top secret?
It's kind of top secret. I know it's out next June. I can say that. I am a June romance girly, so all of my books are going to come out in June. Aside from that, it's kind of, yeah, I'm not sure what I can say, actually, because it's not announced yet. So,
well, we're just going to mark our calendar for next June because we're going to get the book.
Oh, 100%. And it's going to be lovely. There's going to be a lot of like green vibes to it. It's going to be good.
Oh, I love that. Yes. And it will have that magic element to it, right?
100%. It'll be very similar to 7 Year Slip.
Ooh, okay. And that one was very popular as well.
Yes. 7 Year Slip is my time travel romance, and it was very popular. Weirdly so. I was like, oh, I didn't realize y'all would go for this one, but it's this one, and I'm very excited for that because 7 Year Slip was a task to write, and it is probably my most vulnerable. So I really appreciate how many people love it.
And when you are not writing, what do you like to do?
Ooh, I'm always on deadline these days. I don't know when I'm not writing. When I'm not writing, obviously I like to read. But I feel like that's also a part of writing because writing is reading and reading widely. Non-book related, I like playing video games, but also that's a bit of reading too because I like RPGs. So it's a lot of reading. It's a lot of text blocks. I like to play the piano a lot. When I'm like really stressed out, I'll just sit down and slam my fingers on the keys a little bit. And let's see here. I like to do arts and crafts. I also kind of in like the bookish sphere, I love bookbinding. So whenever I get like a chunk of time when I can just, tear the cover off my favorite book and then rebind it, I like doing that too. It kind of like fulfills the little like artistic niche in me. And I just really, really love doing that. And it's like a very meticulous process and you have to be patient. And I'm not a very patient person. So it teaches me how to be like calm and very like single-minded and just to enjoy the experience because bookbinding is literally just for me. I don't make money off of it. And so I really like doing that because it reminds me, oh, I can have things just for myself that I do just for fun. Because I used to write just for fun. And obviously, I write as a career now, so it's still fun, but it's also a career. So, and when you, and as you know, when you do something that you love as a career, it kind of still becomes work because the whole saying, if you love your work, you never work a day in your life. That's not true whatsoever because it's still work and you still have to like be cognizant that it is work and that it is a career and that you do have to make hard decisions in your work and your career that you wouldn't have to make if like you were just doing it for fun. So once I started writing as a career, I had to pivot and find something else to do just creatively that I couldn't monetize. And that ended up being bookbinding.
Oh, that's really interesting. I've never thought about bookbinding before.
Oh, it's so much fun. It's also like a pain a little bit too, but that's kind of why I love it because I have like really shaky hands. And so none of my like bookbindings are like perfect the way I want them to be, but that's kind of the charm of them is like I have to accept that they are going to be imperfect and still beautiful.
Imperfectly perfect.
Yeah, imperfectly perfect.
And as far as what you want your readers to get out of a book, is there like one central thing that you want them to get?
I just want them to. So a lot of readers who have come up to me have been like, "Oh, you are my first romance like author that I've ever read. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. There's like an entire like romance is the biggest genre. You have so much, like, welcome. You have a huge island to choose from now. Like, go and explore and find your next favorite book. I love that gateway. And so I think if I want one thing for people to like take away from my books is that there's an entire genre but behind this one book that you should go in and go through this portal and explore all the different things that romance has to offer, because we're not just, 80s bodice rippers. We can also write like thoughtful, compelling stories that don't just examine the physicality of romance, but also a romance between you and your family or between you and a place. And I find that just so beautiful, because romance comes in like all shapes and sizes. And all of my favorite books are in fact romance, not because like they all have happy endings, because they do. You have to like have a happy ending if you're shelved in capital R romance. But just because I love the exploration of just humanity and all the different emotions that come from love, because with like, you can't have grief without love, and you can't have love without grief. And same with like longing and like, misery and like all of the bad emotions come from these like beautiful high good emotions. And so I love the way romance plays with both of them in these like really lovely and compelling ways.
That's so beautiful, because love is a universal language, isn't it?
Truly, truly is. And like that might be why romance is like the best selling genre in publishing, because like, us romance girlies, we know that.
I'm your target audience here.
Amazing. We are on this island together, which is partying with a margarita.
I love that. Well, Ashley, thank you for taking time out. And I know that you're always working on deadline. So for you to allow time for us to talk with you, we just really appreciate it.
Oh, obviously, this was an absolute pleasure. And I would love to come on again at some point and chat with you again.
Yeah, next June.
Mark it on your calendars, next June.
We got it. Thanks so much, Ashley.
Of course, thank you.
You've been listening to Chapter Chat. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Happy reading.